And it looks like we are live, according to my computer. So, hello and good evening, and I hope you're all doing well. It's great to see people already coming in. Tamara, thank you so much, and thank you all for being here for a live show called People Are Having Experiences with Insectoid Aliens. This is one of those I've had a little folder on for a little while on my computer and just putting some of the stories away here and there as I find them. It's a very interesting subject. And what are the insectoid aliens? Is it a demon? Is it a fallen angel? Is it just something shape shifting into a form and being that, which happens? Demons are shapeshifters, right? Or could it be something else? Is some kind of a creature from hell? We're not familiar with. Either way, no matter what it turns out to be, all of these so-called aliens, all of these different classifications they say they have and all of that, it's all connected to Satan's kingdom. That's one thing we can all agree on. All of it's connected to Satan's kingdom. They're tricksters, liars, deceivers, and the goal is your soul. How important we are to both sides of the equation, and so many people don't even think about it or recognize it. But there really is a fight, a battle happening for your soul. Everybody, every single human that's been here on this earth, aside from the tares, of course, there's a battle for your soul. And you only go one of two places, up or down, heaven or hell. That's it. The world gives people all these options that aren't true. And now this alien deception that's coming in, it's just the icing on the cake. This is going to be a massive deception when this thing gets launched, because they're real close to disclosing everything, or they're real close to telling us their story, because they've known about all this for a long time, and they have many years. I mean, if anything, you can tell just from the reverse engineering, some of the crazy technology we've seen in our world, and even more increasingly now. But it's going to be a major deception. A lot of people are going to fall for it. Just remember, man, if you haven't yet, please accept that free gift of salvation from Jesus. It's not a religious thing. I don't even consider myself a religious type person, but I'm a follower of Christ. I love Jesus. He's my everything. And I try to live the way he wants me to live, I'm the most grateful ever for him. He's the best, king of the universe, coolest of the cool, the most high, the almighty. So yeah, just choose that free gift of salvation. Make sure, secure your soul for heaven, when you are released from this flesh suit, please, because that's the only thing. It's the only way out of all this. And it just goes to show you how amazing he is for our Creator, for doing what he did for us. So, yeah, just remember that, because we're heading into highly deceptive times, my friends. And this agenda, the UFO alien agenda, and all that's going to come with it is it's right here. I mean, it's coming in quick. Look at everything that's just happened, even over the last couple of years. We had the crazy Miami incident, UFO, Miami Mall, or alien. Had the Vegas incident, so those were pretty big. But beyond that, they just released a movie in theaters. It's probably still in some theaters. I think it's called Age of Disclosure. And it's one where they have a lot of the congressmen and senators and all that talking about these things. That just came out. Now we got the trailer for Steven Spielberg's next massive propaganda project. And I just did a video on that, by the way. I forgot to mention, if you didn't know, I dropped a brand new video just yesterday, so please go check it out. It's on my platforms, except for Instagram. Instagram is always screwed with me. I've been shadow banned there for like 2 or 3 years. Now they've finally, I think they said they're done. Well, then a little while back, they changed my Instagram to where I could only upload videos that were 20 minutes long or shorter. I'm like, what? Because I've been doing longer for a couple of years, right? So they did that, and then the next thing they did after several weeks of that, now they're trying to they logged me out, and they're trying to log me back in, in all these different ways, trying to the whole send a code thing, and they never send the code. It's one of those things. So I've been pretty much kicked out of Instagram at this point. But you can find my video on all my other platforms. So please go check it out. Just wanted to share some things about that commercial, the movie trailer for his new movie coming out. And they even had the shifters, man. They show the shifters in there. They show people being possessed by these aliens, quote aliens. Like this is going to be getting more obviously into kind of the spiritual side of these things. And I just wonder how heavy it's going to go. I mean, it'll be interesting, but I'm not getting all my truth from Steven Spielberg. These are the propaganda masters, so that's why we watch them and we discern, right? All right. So all that being said, I wanted to just talk for a little bit, give some people some time to come in. Looks like we got some people coming in now. And then we'll just go ahead and get into it. So before I do, let me say hi to everybody. Good to see you. Thanks again, Tamara. Good to see you, Kelsey, Jonathan, Ocean Waves, Ciro, Alicia, DMD. Good to see you. Did I see someone? Oh, Jess. Hey, Jess. Kava Redeemed, Crypto NYC, Chili Peen. What a crew. Sheldon Bosch is here. Bosch, good to see you, sir. So thanks, guys. Great to see everyone. Appreciate you. Let's have a good time tonight. This is a super interesting subject. I've got a variety of some of the best I could come up with, and I think they're all solid. My gauge is always me. If I don't enjoy watching it, I'm not going to bother putting it out to you guys. That goes for my long shows. It goes for my videos. I only make videos that I would want to watch. It's the way I always look at it. It's like, am I interested and entertained and educated by this in any way? So I'm my main critic, I guess you could say. It's why I like to take time doing everything I do, kind of. Anyway, enough about me. Let's get into the show. I know that's what you're thinking, but thanks again, you guys. Pleasure to have you here on a Friday night. And let's go ahead and jump into it. Very first thing I got is just a short kind of intro to these things, and I'll just read. Mantis beings are among the top 3 most reported close encounter entities. They're often described as behaving like tricksters. That's very interesting, right? And as being more important than the gray beings. The Sand people of southern Africa believe in the trickster creator Kagan, whose primary form is that of a mantis, and whose religion is ancient and spiritual. And the Sand people are also the only group whose languages use clicking tongue sounds. And I showed some of that in my video, so I wanted to share that with you guys. Just a brief introduction to the Mantis people. This is a pretty cool one right here. This man in Puerto Rico claims that a mysterious humanoid visited him and taught him about the universe. Let's check some of this out. I always like these eyewitness accounts. Testimonies.
I left the hospital. I've been in the house alone. I was in a room that was in the back when someone knocked the door.
I hope you guys can hear that because the audio on this is super, super low. So I'll look in the live chat. Let me know if you can hear the audio good enough.
And that someone outside the door, he said, Andres, I know that you're alone. Can you open, please? I want to talk to you. I don't know why or how I opened the door. When I realized that I was naked, I was in the bathroom. I was sitting in the toilet naked, and the guy was in the frame of a door. When I realized I was naked, I grab a towel.
Okay, I'll go and move on then from this, but what I'm going to do, because yeah, the audio is pretty low. Sorry about that. I wish I could see the man's name. Anyway, we'll go and move on from that. That's fine. Still got more than enough. Something interesting. We've seen these mantis creatures, UFO or mantis aliens in other movies and TV shows, and here's just one making the Edgar suit, the science behind Men in Black's insectoid aliens. This is one of them. But then I was thinking that there's another one. What is it called? You may remember this. there's a character in Guardians of the Galaxy, and their name is her name Mantis. Let me see. Yeah, so there you go. They actually in Guardians of the Galaxy, they've got this character here called Mantis, right? So there you go. So also recognizing, these Mantis so-called aliens, right? So yeah, but now that you think about it, if you see movies and TV shows moving on from here, you'll probably start recognizing that caricature, the Mantis alien, a bit more. Check out what this gentleman here has to say. His name is Kursin Ilumzanov, former president of the Republic of Kalmykia and longtime president of the World Chess Federation. That's an interesting tidbit. He gives the most detailed public account to date of an alleged extraterrestrial encounter that occurred while he was a sitting head of state in September 1997. This is interesting. Hopefully it's not too low.
It's still early.
Here we go.
You have not yet reached the level in your civilization's development to communicate with us. I said, how come? We have television, the internet, spacecrafts. They asked, do you converse with ants? I say, no, well, we haven't learned to talk to ants yet. We live in different dimensions. Your only achievement in civilization is that we created you, the intelligent beings here. Not only humans, but everything that surrounds us, like animals, everything living around us, also has intelligence. The same goes for cats, dogs, cows, and so on. Your only civilizational leap is that before you used to eat them raw, and now you kill and cook them, and eat them in restaurants by candlelight. That is your level of development. Every creature that lives in the universe must go through certain stages, and you still destroy each other. We kinda created you here. Gave you a beautiful land, rivers, lakes, seas, and you pollute it with industrial waste, burn, cut down these forests. Right now, there are over 117 armed conflicts happening around the world. You are so beautiful. You have 2 arms, 2 legs, a head on your shoulders. Yet you direct all your science and efforts towards inventing weapons to kill each other as much as possible. Whether it's bacterial, chemical weapons, atomic weapons, or neutron weapons, you are always coming up with ways to kill more people. I recall the words of Nobel Prize winner Albert Einstein when he was asked, "What will the Third World War be like? What weapons will be used?" He said, "I don't know about the Third World War, but I know what people will use in the Fourth World War. Sticks and clubs, like our ancestors." And so, that's where our discussion ended, about whether to connect to television or not. On the other hand, they said they didn't want to disrupt the course of our civilization. You are currently at an embryonic level still. You have a scientist, Charles Darwin. He said that everything evolves evolutionarily.
Darwin.
First, living beings were in the water. Then they came out of it. Then there was a monkey. And so humans evolved from monkeys.
Okay.
On the other hand, there are various religious teachings. You have books, like the Bible and Christianity, and others, like Islam, Buddhism, Judaism, and others, that talks about something else. So just imagine, if we say on television now, that we have been here for a long time, millennia, millions of years, watching. And not only us, but others too.
Yeah, somebody in chat said it. I love how the aliens, when people have encounters, they always come across so peaceful and kind and all-knowing. They're benevolent. It's always the same act. It's always the same thing. These are deceivers. And they're amazing at it. And they don't sleep. It's like 24/7. These things are active, watching, deceiving, coming up with plans, scheming. It's crazy to think. Another reason why, especially in these days, you must have Jesus. Accept him as your personal Lord and Savior. If you already have, you already know. Like, we're clinging to him tightly these days. I know I sure am. So, yeah, these are the times, because this stuff's going to rock the world. It's going to be crazy when it comes. I know that much. Former Delta Force commander and DARPA scientist had an encounter with a 7-foot praying mantis creature. DARPA A, the DARPA dogs.
One day you might actually get the opportunity to meet your abductors.
Already did. A tall, 7-ish foot praying mantis looking being was upset with me and was
this
chastising me.
This was during one of your abduction events?
This is right around the same time as this mountain bike incident. It was the environment that I thought it was in my bedroom on the third floor of a split level house, and it came through a sliding screen door. There was a deck out there, 3 stories up, no stairs down, and just walked right through the door, standing over me. And again, I was terrified, frozen, paralyzed to the bed. And I got a male presence vibe from this being. And he's just looking at me very intently and explaining to me, look, this body that you got, it is just a soul housing group. It's a brain housing group. It is just a machine that your soul occupies for this lifetime. And so, yeah, we're going to mess with it. We're going to get up under the hood and we're going to adjust the carburetor. Right? I just dated myself there. We may swap a couple of parts out, but we can't steal you. We can't steal your soul. We can't steal your consciousness. So quit screaming and writhing around and let us do our frickin' job. And it's like the equivalent of a surgeon telling the patient, stop squiggling, just like the veterinarian to my Labrador Retriever. Hold him down, for crying out loud. I got to be able to check this tendon. And so I got that very condescending and vigorous instruction. But here's the thing. As proof, there was this image that he put him, and it was terrifying. His mandibles that were kind of behind like a casing or a shell opened up, and he starts grabbing chunks of my cheek, and he's ripping it, and there's blood spattering on the wall, and I'm feeling the tug, and I'm feeling this flesh, and the whole time he is conveying to me, see, we can't get your soul. We could do a lot of damage to your body if we want to. We don't. We're trying to help you. But this is how bad it could get. So stop squiggling around and let us get this done.
Wow. Okay. Interesting. Stop squiggling around and let us get this done. I actually know somebody, and they even, from what I understand, sometimes listen to the show, so I won't name them or anything, but they'd told me one time that they'd had some of these encounters where the Greys would come into their room, and this came from somebody that just isn't really into that kind of stuff at all. They're not into sci-fi or weird stuff or even, conspiracies and things like that. They're just not into that whole thing, kind of a solid salt of the earth type person, but again, just kind of blissfully unaware of things also, right? So, and that's fine. It's most people, just living life, right? That's what it is. But so I say that so you understand, he's not someone to make something up like this. And I doubt he's mentioned it to many people. So yeah. And I even told him then, just always call out to Christ. If that happens, always, man, that's their kryptonite. So just to say, Jesus, save me, Jesus, help me, however you want to say it, or you can cast them out, if you're not afraid to do that, just in Jesus' name, leave, things like that. Pray about it. You should pray about these things, because I told him it's a real thing. It's truly spiritual attacks, happens to a lot of people, and just like him, not a lot of people want to talk about it. So just understand that it really is. It's the demon. These are tricksters, or it's the demon. It's the devil and his tricksters. And just always, man, just call out loudly, in Christ's name, leave, however you want to put it, but just cast them out and they'll go. It's incredible. I've told you guys I had an experience with it, personal one, a while back. I've mentioned that in the past, and I'm glad I got to do that. And I wasn't scared or anything when it happened. It's just I knew what the Bible says about the gifts we have, the manifestations of the Holy Spirit. And that's one of them. We can cast demons out in Jesus' name, right? It's not in our own power. It's not because we're a big tough guy or anything. No, it's all through him. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. So, all right, I'm rambling, but there you go. Cast them out. It's a very real situation here. Let's check this brief little talk about the mantis, a little bit of information about him. The mantis aliens.
The mantis insect race is an exceptionally intelligent species of insectoids hailing from the Andromeda constellation, sporting a greenish skin tone.
And this is like the big story behind them, right? I mean, this is what the tricksters came up with when I hear this stuff. I still think it's cool to hear, though.
They possess elongated arms and legs, with 3 pincer-like digits tipped with formidable talons. Standing between 7 to 10 feet tall, the mantis aliens exhibit remarkable agility, effortlessly leaping great distances of over 90 feet to traverse their surroundings. Regarded as one of the most formidable insect races, the mantis instills fear in all other insectoid species. They have been intricately intertwined with the phenomenon of abductee experiencers since its inception in modern times. In the cosmic hierarchy, the mantis beings appear to occupy a prominent position, if not the highest, as they are frequently depicted overseeing and playing a supervisory role in the process of abductions. This holds true whether these encounters involve medical procedures or interactions with human ET hybrids. From encounters involving infants or children to instances of sexual instruction and telepathic absorption of emotions and sensations, a mantis or insectoid entity is often present, directing and observing the proceedings. These beings possess long, narrow faces with slanted, upward and outward large eyes, giving them an almost insect-like appearance. Their heads are triangular, reminiscent of insects, and they boast deep brown to black, slanted eyes. While the mantis beings typically communicate with human abductees through telepathic messages, witnesses have observed them conversing with each other using an auditory language characterized by a series of clicking sounds. The praying mantis types possess extremely thin and elongated torsos, long, slender arms that often exhibit a sharp bend at the mid-joint, with the hands and fingers sloping vertically downward from the wrist. Similarly, their legs are also bent at an almost right angle at the mid-joint, creating a crouched posture. An intriguing account involving artist and abductee experiencer David Huggins sheds light on an alternative perspective of these beings. Another noteworthy example involves Jim, who was shown a holographic representation of Earth by a mantis being. Each time the mantis touched a specific location on the holograph, Jim received unique information about that place, producing varying effects while leading to a consistent outcome. The mantis insect race.
It's cool, interesting stuff, even though it's AI voice. But that's matches with a lot of the stuff I've seen about their so-called history and where they're from and what they're all about. And a bunch of BS,
I remember this large insect praying mantis looking thing comes around the table, grabs my head and turns it to the left, and then sticks a large needle into my neck behind my ear, and at that point everything just went fuzzy. I was 6 years old when this happened, and what I remember from it is it was late at night. I woke up in bed and my whole room was just filled with light. And what I remember, it was just like a bright, blinding, bluish-white light that left no shadows anywhere in my room. And then all of a sudden, I just see these 2 small beings just appear right by my window in my room. And they were wearing this like tight-fitting, silvery, glittering, shining body suit type thing. And I felt this pounding sensation in my whole body and my whole head. This voice just said, "Come with us." And that was it. I didn't question it. I just went. My body was just under its own control or something. I just went. And then the next thing I know, I'm just floating up through the air, and I can see the night sky, I can see the city below me, and then I see just this bright white light up ahead of me, and then I'm just inside this large hangar type area, and I'm seeing everything was like white panels, flush, metallic concave beams, and it was just, I can't properly describe it. It was like something out of a movie. And these two beings were standing right next to me, one on each side. And I remember them guiding me around, just showing me things. And I remember seeing these silver orbs just parked along the side wall to my
Those
left.
darn orbs.
And then I look over and I'm seeing like these tall human-looking people with these
Tall whites.
more of these small littler beings.
Grays.
And at that point, I just get terrified and I just start running. I just this hallway that I just go down. I'm running down this hallway and I see this large window out to my right, and I run up to the window and I see just the blackness of space. I don't see any stars, but I just see like this curvature, blue, white, shiny thing in the bottom left outside the window, and then that terrifies me even more. I have no idea where I'm at that point, and I just keep running down this hallway, and it comes to like a little junction to where I see another one of those human-looking people kneeling down in like some crates or boxes, and then when I get to that little cross section, this being grabs me, and I feel this more of that pounding inside telepathic voice inside my head saying, "Whoa, hey, you're not supposed to be here." And at that point, I'm just petrified, no idea what's going on. And these two beings show up again, and then they grab me, and then at that point I'm completely paralyzed. I can't move, and they're either carrying me or floating me or something. They're carrying me back down this hallway, and they lead me to this squarish room, and it had like a brown diffused light inside of it. Everything was just like a hue of like brown. And I remember seeing like this sciencey station looking thing with like a bunch of screens, tubes, beakers, whatever it was, just off to the right in the corner. And there was this large praying mantis looking thing standing over it, doing stuff with the little whatever it was. And these two beings lay me down onto this reclined table, and I'm laying there on my back, and I'm still paralyzed. I can't move, and my hands are in like like an upright curved position, and I can't move, like completely paralyzed. And the whole time it was excruciating pain. And I remember one of the beings just sat there by the table just staring at me, and I could see their eyes. They were this large circular golden brown speckled eyes. I mean, they didn't have like the sclera or whatever it is, the whites of our eyes that we normally do. It was just complete iris. It was complete. There's large black pupils. They're staring at me this whole time. And I remember this large insect praying mantis looking thing comes around the table, grabs my head and turns it to the left, and then sticks a large needle into my neck behind my ear. And at that point, everything just went fuzzy. Everything just felt warm, fuzzy, and just like I was in a daze. And the next thing I know is I'm able to move again, and these smaller little beings, they grab me off the table and they lead me to an adjacent room. And in that room, they hand me a small black box, and they had me open the box, and inside the box, it just exploded in light. It was like an information download watching 1,000 movies play at once at like light speed. It was just memories, images of like mountains, stars, symbols, mathematical equations, like flashes as images of like different memories of like just normal stuff, like walking down a roadway, walking up to a hill, just random stuff, maps, all random shit. And at that point in my room, and then they were laying me back down into my bed, and then they walked back to my window, and they turned around, and that telepathic voice again said, "We'll be seeing you again soon." And then that was it. I have no idea what happened, who they were. Apparently it's all part of the plan, and they don't tell you what the plan is. It's just that you're a part of it. And I'm a science guy. I'm a spiritualist guy. I don't think that these things are angels, demons, or anything like that. I think they're people just like us, and I don't know what they want with us. I remember.
Oh boy. Oh boy, he got tricked, didn't he? I mean, these things, these little demons, these little trickster spirits, they're so good at what they do, these little deceivers. And then I believe that's why they do this. They take some people, and then these people tell their stories, and it gets out there and adds more and more to the truth of it, so that when the big show comes, same thing with the so-called ghost lights for the last few years we've seen, probably longer now than we've even known. But all over the world, we've seen them, and they're not spotlights, down on the ground or anything. These are seen over oceans, over mountains, sometimes over cities. I mean, all over the place, over neighborhoods. They're everywhere, and I think that's more beam type stuff, and blue beamy. And they're just trying to get people set up, and once again, just kind of get it in everyone's consciousness, get people talking about it. If you've never seen something, then you've seen anything, someone that has, the whole thing. It's like it all kind of just adds to it, it just kind of builds it up, builds up the spell, gets people ready, without realizing it. But what a crazy experience, though. And interesting that we see the three main forms of these things. It's the grays, the tall whites, and the reptoid. Those two. But the grays. I'm sorry, the grays, the tall whites, and the insectoids. More like mantis, it seems. All right, moving on. Here's one I had to go look around, but apparently this is real. It's not an AI thing. It's there's a whole lot of different examples of it. You can find it all over the place, but look at this thing. It says what the actual blank is this thing. I found it outside, and it totally looks like a xenomorph from Alien, doesn't it? Like a cone head. That's where the cone heads come from too. Goes back to Egypt. Cone heads. That's why they had those weird headdresses they would wear. Cone heads. Dagon. The Dagon fish hats. Perhaps cone heads. Right? Anyway, but it looks like a cone head. Totally looks like one of the aliens from the movie. And turn the music down. I guess it's called, there is a name for it. I think it's called, I've seen black mantis and then black ghost mantis. So I don't know. But yeah, I've seen other examples online. Now, if somebody finds out that it is all totally fake and they're all fake, let us know. Because as of now, I don't know. But you still have to, these days, you got to wonder, check things out. It's like sometimes you just don't know. This man he's asking if anyone's had an encounter with a mantid alien. Excuse me. Let's his full screen on this. I think this is George Knapp, which is pretty cool. There's John B. Wells. Have you guys ever heard of John B. Wells? Wells. If you haven't, please look him up. He's awesome. And he was once a host over on a Coast to Coast radio program that used to really be amazing. But then George Snorri, some people call him, he kind of took over. And anyway, it's like, now they interview witches and, talk about astrology and, just Bigfoot and Amelia Earhart, and things like this. And it's just not current. It's not hip, and that was what was good about John B. Wells is, he was keeping it cool, hip, current, talking about current things that matter, and I think that's why ultimately it didn't work out for him over there. But this is George Knapp, and he's another one. I haven't listened to Coast in a long time now, but I don't know if he still jumps on there every now and then, but he's always been really interested in UFOs. I think he's done some documentaries and has done a lot of like speaking engagements and things like this. He's well educated on a lot of the paranormal, supernatural stuff, and was a host on Coast to Coast. So don't know if he still is, but this is definitely up his alley. So let's check this out then.
The Nordics and the tall whites and all these different. Which one? And this is just hypothetical, but which one is most interesting to you?
The mantises, the mantids. Part of that is personal, and part of it is sort of UFO related, in that it always seems like the mantises are in charge. The people have these experiences or are taken on board ships. It's maybe the little grays that are the functionaries doing the experiments, the anal probes, all that stuff. But it's the mantises that seem to be calling the shots. So I'm very interested in them. And the personal side of it is, I dig mantises. So I had this, I have a mantis sanctuary at my home. I found this thing floating in my pool. It's now 10 years ago. And I thought it was a piece of wood. And I scooped it out and I realized, oh man, it's a praying mantis. Looks like it's dead. You know what? I'm going to put it over here in the courtyard and see if it comes back alive. I come out a half hour later, I open the front door. There's that damn mantis at the doorstop, looking up, trying to get in the house. I go, no, hold on there, little buddy. Scooped it up and I put it, we have a flower bed. And in the spring we grow mint and it flowers. I put it in there. Best of luck to you. And that was a girl mantis, because every year since then, on the 1st of May, I get a crop of mantises. And I made it into a sanctuary. I protect it. I don't let any yard guy come in, and I don't let any insecticides be sprayed there. But at first it was a dozen mantises that were born. Suddenly I've got a bunch of them. The second and third year, it's several dozen. And then it was hundreds. And then we had a year, each year gets a little harder because the climate is changing, whether people want to admit it or not. But I protect that like it's my own children. I put up fences to keep people and animals and danger away from those mantises. And it's part of it is because I just think they're little fascinating creatures. They're amazing. And then as I'm going through UFO research, I learned that about these mantid beings. And I figured, well, it doesn't help to be in good with the mantises. When the 8-foot tall ones land, maybe they put a good word in with our new mantis overlords. I'm only partially joking about that. But I love the mantises. I protect them. I dig them. They come back every year. This year I didn't know if I was going to have any left or not, because so many of the adults ended up dead for one reason or another last year. And I didn't see any of these little mantis condo towers that they are like egg sacs that they leave. I didn't see any new ones. So I didn't know if they were going to come out until April 30th. I saw 2 little mantises and I was funny as hell. And he told me about this man versus mantis experience. And what happened to him has happened to so many other people, is that once you connect with the mantises on some level, you start seeing them everywhere. And maybe it's just your awareness grows or something like that. But in his life, suddenly it spread to everyone in his family. They're seeing mantises all over the place. And
have you ever had an encounter with a mantis that wasn't
in my garden? No.
Yeah.
No, I have not. That'd be pretty cool. Scary as hell, but it'd be pretty cool. I hope so someday.
What's your conviction on these mantids being real?
I'd say somewhere around 60%. I don't really know.
It's pretty high.
Here's what I don't know. I don't know what they really look like. What we have learned from this phenomena in the big picture, not only did the ships change shapes, but the beings change shapes. And sometimes it happens while abductees are on board these craft, if it's really that craft. They manipulate our perceptions in so many ways. I'm not sure we really know what any of them look like. If there are bodies from Roswell or Kingman or any of the other crashes, then we know what some of them look like. But I suspect that those little grays are functionaries that are robots, that are synthetic beings that are created to do work, as opposed to the actual ET, or if that's what they are. You should talk to the musician guy. And I'm having a brain fart on his name, but
yeah, I'll look him up. I remembered his name too, and I can't remember it right now. But yes,
he's a great interview. A clever guy, doesn't go too far, has a sense of humor.
Yeah,
not crazy.
Beautiful story.
Yeah,
beautiful story that involved his family too, and
All right, there we go. Wasn't quite what we expected. Got a little story about mantises, but that was interesting how it ended. Have any of you had that experience? I don't remember the last time I actually saw a praying mantis. It's been so long, and I'm surrounded by a woodsy type area. I get all the animals through here and all the bugs, so I'm surprised. But I haven't seen any that I can remember. It's been a long time, but you ever noticed that? Have you ever befriended a mantis in your garden or maybe in your home? And then next thing you know, more show up, or you start seeing them all over the place? Let us know in the live chat or in the comments below, please. This is called Mantis Aliens, the True Creators of Humanity's DNA. Documentary for sleep, 3 hours long. So I really wasn't sure about this, but maybe we'll come back. We'll see how long we go. Maybe we'll check some of this out, because there was a few things about old mantis paintings. Like here's another one. It's pretty interesting. And then pretty crazy to think. Remember this from the Stupor Bowl? The Stupor Bowl, right? Oh, no, it was the Olympics. The Olympics. Another possible interpretation is that this golden being represents an insectoid creature commonly known as a mantid. Notice the antenna on its head and what appears to be proto-wings on its back. These beings are known for overseeing greys during abductions, and gray creatures can be seen in the background of the image. Mantids have appeared in the legends of various native tribes and are frequently reported in modern abduction and encounter cases. Says, while I personally doubt that this is the intended depiction, the visual resemblance is hard to overlook. And here it is. So there's this. Remember this? This is from the Olympics. Probably remember that. And then there's this. Pretty interesting. Go back. And it does have all the little gray kind of, right? Look at that. It's kind of interesting. It does have all the little gray alien type looking creatures back there. And then that. So, something to think about, something to consider, I would say. But there's other depictions of these also. And I think that's what that 3-hour-long video was getting into there. Says focusing on the creature. Oh yeah, this is a pretty good catch too, because some of y'all remember this is from the Vegas UFO incident. It was pretty crazy because they even had that footage where the police officers coming up on some people in the neighborhood, and you can actually see a UFO fly by behind them. You guys remember that? It's pretty crazy. But yeah, and after I've shown you guys some of this. I think I did it in some videos, but have also shown this on KJ's What Happened, that there is footage of like shadow looking type beings, huge, in that backyard. There's some pretty crazy footage, but there was also, wait, am I thinking about the same thing? I don't know if this is Vegas or if this is Peru, my bad. It was right there. I just kind of was going off on my thing there. But yeah, this is from Peru, from the face peelers from Peru. So they had these things showing up that were flying. Some people said they were in some kind of suits. Some people said it resembled like the antagonist from one of the Spider-Man movies, the guy that's in the lizard suit, and he could fly around. And I guess they were trying to grab people, and the villagers all got together and they were trying to get these things. And so there's just all kinds of crazy stories that were coming out of this. Remember that? And there's a particular video, if any of you guys are able to find it, BitChute would probably be the best chance. I need to go look again there sometime for this kind of stuff. But there was an actual face peeler video, because they were calling them the face peelers. They said that they would completely take someone's face off, right? Like that was the story. It's like, okay, that's freaking creepy. And then there was a video, and I showed it, and it's been so long I don't know which show it was, but I showed it on one of my either the Saturday show or the Uncensored show, probably the Uncensored show, and it showed two people out there in I guess Peru pulling a body out of the water, and the face was so gone it was to the skull, and it was almost clean, and you could see the hair and all that was still attached. I know it's pretty graphic stuff, but yeah, and we saw that was out there. That's one of those that I should have saved a long time ago, because I haven't seen it since. So if you guys are able to find that particular video, let us know in the live chat or in the messages later. Even leave a link if you could. That'd be really cool. But just be warned, it's super graphic, crazy stuff. But yeah, it's out there. I remember it. Anyway, aside from that, so okay, back to this is in Peru, and this is the villagers. They were shining a flashlight on one of these things at one point, and I guess they were all out there, trying to get at this, and it looks like could possibly be one of these insectoids. Check this out.
I honestly can't understand what I'm seeing. It just looks like something with multiple limbs and possibly large black eyes, but it also seems to be morphing or changing in shape, which I don't know if that is some kind of distortion caused by the movement of the flashlight, but there seems to be something there. And I slowed down the footage so that you can take a closer look in slow-mo. I don't know what this is. However, according to reports from Peruvian news agencies over the past 48 hours, there seems to be multiple people in this town that literally were busting caps in these intruders' asses.
That's probably one of the best captures we've seen of these things in Peru. It does kind of look like the mantis, the way the arm is right there. It's weird. And the head. What do you think? Look at that. There's definitely something there. Oh, I thought the music was about to bust out and get crazy right there. Kind of build up, then it's... And then I was like, oh, it's about to kick. It's about to kick, whatever this is. I was wrong. But look at that, man. Looks like the mantis. Even right there, look at that. It does look kind of like the mantis, doesn't it? The mantis creatures. Man, yeah, that's crazy. It's eerie. It's eerie footage. Somebody needs to hold that flashlight stead. Look at that. They're getting a good capture of that arm. And it totally looks like a... Look at that. The body. Look at that. The arm. You already saw the head. Totally looks like an insectoid. Interesting. Whole new angle on that whole situation out there. Let's check this out. Find the audio though. For some reason the audio's not working. Ain't working on this. Here we go. There it is.
17-year-old Linda Porter awakens to find herself aboard a strange craft. From what she is able to recall later under hypnosis, a small creature that appeared to be a gray alien led her towards a light-filled room where she encountered another type of being. One much taller and with the features of a praying mantis.
There have been quite a number of different types of aliens seen, allegedly, by contactees. But the ones that are really peculiar and very rare are these very scary, skinny, large, basically intelligent insects that have been reported.
And the gray aliens may handle the person who's being abducted, but in the background, there's this praying mantis type that seems to be calling the shots.
Covina, California, 1963. 17-year-old...
All right, there we go. It's a little YouTube short on the mantis. Let's check this out. So here's another one. Says... This is what they wrote. It says, and they being open-minded approach over on X, if you want to check them out. It says, I don't know if the Miami aliens incident is real, but as the Earth's magnetic field is weakening, the veil is going to vanish, and soon we might be able to perceive the greater reality. Yep, I think that'll happen with the tears too. Also, that's indeed, but now they have the excuse, kind of what I was talking about in the new video, of, oh, no, they're the aliens. They've been amongst us all along. You know. It says, and soon we might be able to perceive greater reality. Also, that's indeed a lot of police for a simple brawl. Like they said, it was kids running around acting crazy or something like that, shooting off fireworks. It says in Revelation, at the time of the apocalypse, giant locust-like creatures are described emerging from the depths of earth to torture the humans. Indeed, people look frightened. There's still time, though. The people in power will try to hide this until it becomes too obvious, and then it'll be too late. And what their point was, let me refresh it so this plays correctly. It's the Miami Mall incident, right? And for some reason now it ain't going to play. But it's just a short GIF of right there. You see, like, what the crap? Let's see if there's another. Oh, yeah, those files came out today, a bunch of them, and this dude's all over it. Yeah, right here. What exactly happened at the mall? Okay, there's at least a picture of it. You guys remember, though, there was something massive, like right there. Had all this police presence around it. It's best to have the video of it. It was really good. You could tell it was a single object moving, something big. Yeah, I'd like to talk to those police officers, too. What did you guys see? All right, we'll go ahead and move on then. I guess that little video is not going to play for us. But I think they were saying maybe it was another mantis. This is pretty interesting. Check this out, what this gentleman has to say. And you decide. As always.
Friends, what if I was to tell you that all these crazy aliens that everyone reports seeing, from the reptilians to the greys and everything in between, actually originate from Earth? Now check this out. This is a wild one. So let's think about all these different aliens. We got the reptilians. What do they look like? It looks like a cross between a human and a reptile, like a lizard or something, right? Let's talk about the greys. It looks like a cross between a human and an ant. Let's talk about even Bigfoot. It's a cross between a human and, say, an orangutan or a gorilla. And then we have, what else do we have out there? The mantis, okay? Looks like a cross between a human and a praying mantis. What are the odds that all of these aliens from all these vast reaches of the universe look just like humans? They're not 25 feet tall, and they're not 1 foot tall. They're always like 6 foot tall, or 5 foot tall, or 7 foot tall. They always have 2 eyes, and 2 arms, and 2 legs, and 5 fingers. What are the odds that all these exotic beings from all around the universe, time and space, look just like humans and look just like animals on Earth? Has anyone ever stopped to think about this? It doesn't make any freaking sense. They're not from outer space. They're from Earth. Now, what are the implications here? The implications are that Earth is like this chimera factory. It's like a hybridization factory where higher intelligences can come to Earth and mix and match different animals with maybe themselves or maybe with each other or whatever. I don't know. It's like a laboratory, and create different beings, species, whatever, for different purposes. Maybe they need to be able to live in deep space. Maybe they need to be able to live on some planet that's all water, whatever. And you can come here and you can create anything you want, because look at this place. I mean, this is what I think about when I'm out on my walks and on Earth. But I see light, I see birds flying around, I see crabs coming out of holes in the ground, I see snakes, I see sharks, I see humans, I see everything you can imagine. Like, Earth is just full of the most exotic life you could ever dream of, in every kind of different family and capacity. So if you're a higher intelligence, this is an amazing laboratory. So when we see something like a praying mantis being, they seem very old, right? It seems like someone a long time ago mixed like a human type thing. Like, even the story of humans is rumored to be the Anunnaki mixed with like chimpanzees, right? To make humans. So you're seeing this chimera thing, this hybrid, all through all of these lineages of advanced species. So let's take even like the praying mantis. Like I said, they're supposed to be the highest up of the hierarchy of alien beings. Well, they look like they're very ancient, very old. Somebody a long time ago probably hybridized a praying mantis with a humanoid being to see what they come up with. Maybe they're just trying things out, or maybe they had a very specific reason. Like, they're like, oh, praying mantis are like the Zen master Buddhist monks of the insect world. Let's make a gigantic, awesome one of those. And they did, and everyone talks about how the praying mantis has these amazing telepathic abilities, and how they're like the boss man. They're the highest up, right? So it's like maybe they hybridize them for their intelligence, right, or their clairvoyance. Who knows? But you look at all of these different beings out here, when people see the the grays, it's like I can't help but look at a gray alien and think that is a gigantic ant mixed with a human being or some sort of a humanoid, right? That's just what this stuff looks like. You know, Bigfoot. Bigfoot looks like a freaking human mixed with a gorilla, orangutan, something like that, you know? And, you know, it's just across the board, like all of them, the reptilians. Oh my God, the mighty reptilians. It looks like a freaking human being mixed with a lizard.
All right, I'll go and stop there. We kind of get where he's going. I'm not totally with a whole lot of that. Actually, we're dealing with trickster spirits and creatures from the pit. Mantid or mantis aliens are humanoid insectoid creatures resembling a giant praying mantis, standing about 6 to 8 feet tall. They're characterized by a triangular head, expansive compound eyes, and a segmented exoskeleton, typically in shades of green, gray, or white. Their interactions with humans are described variably. Some narratives paint them as researchers involved in genetic experiments, particularly in abduction scenarios. Others see them as benevolent guides, right, focusing on spiritual or evolutionary development of humanity. Communication with these beings is often reported to be telepathic, indicating advanced cognitive or psychic abilities. I think there's a couple videos on her. Gross. Gross. Can't be real. It's probably from a movie or something, right?
As a young teenager, she was inside of some kind of a craft or a round room. And what happens in very summarized for the radio broadcast tonight is that a praying mantis-looking creature, 8 foot tall, which does come up in lots of abductions, even if you don't hear about it much, appears, and at first she was terrified, and the tall praying mantis put into her mind a sense of deep sadness about her and all humans, and it was accompanied by a sense that this praying mantis was so ancient that it could be as old as our solar system, as incomprehensible as that is, and that these praying mantis are programmed to monitor the evolution of life in entire solar systems. We're getting into the world of Michio Kaku's theorizing about very advanced civilizations having this ability.
Yes.
And that when humans are in the presence of the praying mantis has the ability to calm the human's natural fear of the way they look. And what he did next, he took the young teenage Linda Porter to a round, small container, almost like a small room, and showed her all of this dense, yellow, sparkly light inside of it. And then, as if saying, this is one piece of what you need to understand, he walked her into a room nearby and said, watch. And now it's a gray type entity. We can get into the distinctions of gray androids that are robots and prime intelligence grays, and that there are all kinds. And now what she's seeing is what I would call more the prime intelligence in the gray category. They have vertical snake eyes. They have gray pebbly skin. Usually it looks slightly reptilian, and they are quite different from the 3 foot tall, we'll call them androids, that have the big black eyes and the pear-shaped heads and the little bodies. There's a big difference. So now she's in the presence of what appears to be a prime intelligence gray who walks over to a bed-like apparatus upon which there is lying a male human. And the gray reaches down, and Linda even asked me, could this be possible? Are they doing this in front of me like a hologram? Because this is what occurs. The gray's long 4 fingers just seem to pass through the man's chest. And out of the man's chest, the gray being comes up holding the man's heart and shows it, no blood, totally dry, shows it to Linda Porter, and she gets telepathic thoughts like this. It is important that the entity, and she gets the symbol or gets communication that when they say entity, they are meaning soul, spirit, the animus of life. That the man's entity and this particular container of the man's body, it's important that the soul remain inside of such a container for a longer period of time than the man's body is willing to give, because the man is dying of heart disease.
Well, that's pretty interesting, though, really, if you think about, because there's another example, that this the second example where they kind of view the human as kind of just like a container, right? And really, that's what we are. We're a flesh suit, because this isn't us. It's not you. You know, this flesh thing, it's not you. It's not you. That's just your suit. You know, we're beautiful, man. We're light. We're beautiful. We're a spirit on the inside of these containers. And when your container expires, you know, you either go to heaven if you've accepted that free gift of salvation. You know, if you're saved through Jesus, through that beautiful sacrifice, then you go to heaven. But if you're not, then you go to hell, and that's it. And it's not fun, and it's not even fun to talk about. There's been a lot of controversy lately. You may have seen there's a pretty famous preacher, Kirk Cameron, came out, I guess, a few weeks ago saying that he doesn't believe in hell, that, you know, there's not an eternal punishment, that you're basically just kind of wiped out, which isn't even biblical. But, you know, we also know that in these times there's going to be stuff like that, man. A lot of false doctrine is going to rise, and there'll be a lot of division. So even on that note, I want to shout you guys out. Just thank you so much. It's always been a, you know, we're about an hour in, so it's perfect time to say, but thank you guys. We got a huge crowd, I think. Thank you. Over 600 people hanging out on a Friday night. Thank you, Tamara. But really, man, just, you know, I love the family here, the community we have. Y'all are amazing. You know, Tamara, thanks for all your help too, obviously, all the time here. But yeah, no, you guys are like amazing. A wonderful family in Christ, and that's not excluding anybody who's not with them yet, you know. It's just, you know, we're cool here. There's a couple rules, a few things we don't like to get into here in chat, which kind of keeps it a little more civil. And then that's about it, man. You know, otherwise, you're welcome. Never be afraid to join in chat or ask for prayer. We've even had some people tonight ask for prayer. So, yeah, please do. And, you know, so thank you. Just thank you guys for being awesome. Really appreciate you. Much love to you. Okay, let's go ahead and move on to the next. The container, they're kind of, these demons are kind of spot on with that one, I'd say. Let's check this out. Oh, it's a short one. Let's check this one out. Talking about the mantis, the insectoids.
This article comes from hybridrising.com, titled Mantis Insectoids. The concept of extraterrestrial life has always fascinated humanity. And one intriguing variation of alien beings that has captured the imagination is the idea of insectoid aliens. Depicted in various forms of literature, movies, and artwork, these non-human creatures with insect-like features have become a staple in science fiction. So let's delve into the concept of insectoid aliens, examining their alleged origins, characteristics, and the underlying reasons for their continued popularity in ufology. The depiction of insectoid aliens can be traced back to ancient mythology and folklore, where insect-like creatures often symbolized otherworldly beings or deities.
Okay, this is a little short one. Not too bad. Thank you, whatever you are. AI voice or human, I couldn't tell. Sometimes I can't tell. So that's where we're at now. Do you know that? Did we see this earlier? I don't think yeah. Didn't we see this guy earlier? Let me check the live chat. I may have put this up twice. 7-foot tall praying mantises. All right, let's see. Maybe there's, I know we saw, but maybe we saw a different part. I'll start playing it, and you guys let me know if this is a replay.
But one day you might actually get the opportunity to meet your abductors.
I already did. I already did. A tall, 7-ish foot, praying mantis looking being was upset with me and was
this
chastising me.
This was during one of your abduction events.
Yeah, you're right. Thank you, Lori. I saw that, and some other people. Thank you guys. Thought so. I double posted. Sometimes it's a long interview and that you'll find different clips, but I wasn't sure. Says, out of all the types of aliens mentioned on the Joe Rogan show, the mantis is by far the creepiest, this person says. Yep, I think they're super creepy too. All of them are. But I ain't scared of them. In Jesus' name. In Jesus' name, get out of here. You're not welcome.
So the grays, the tall whites, the reptilians, but then there's the mantis too, right?
Right.
Other than the beings that we described, are there other ones that people have talked about?
Yes, I've actually, like I said, as a young adult, I probably encountered more of a spiritual sense, but they were Nordic looking, platinum hair kind of a look, blue eyes.
Like the tall whites are different?
No, different.
How many documented different species have you heard of?
If I'm talking about my mission days, it's only that handful. And then if you're talking about other things that I've had other people tell me about, I think I've heard enough from enough people that I trust that I think our concept of life in this universe is totally off. I think there are literally trillions of other life forms, and anything you can imagine is probably true.
So the grays, the tall white.
Yeah, I need to find that guy's name. I was thinking about that earlier and find a longer interview, because I've seen clips of him before, and he does talk about all the different races of these things, which ain't true, but praying mantis aliens stealing souls. Let's check a little bit of this out. It's 20 minutes long. It's an interview. There's a YouTube of it, but let's check this out here. It's over on BitChute on Veritas Vos Liberabit. I've probably butchered that, but anyway.
In its natural state, but that doesn't mean that its true character has changed. And it's still an insect. It still behaves like an insect, and it feeds on flesh of other creatures.
Yeah. Birds, lizards.
Right. Everything else that it can get. And I witnessed this on a ship where I was. I saw a craft come in with children, babies. I'm going to say they probably, the oldest one was maybe 4. They were 4 down to toddlers, diapers, and they were brought in and they were taken off of this circular round craft onto a conveyor belt, and they were, now the children were kind of I'm not going to say totally paralyzed, because they were moving their arms and legs, but the children were somewhat like in a coma. It's not like they had their true faculties mentally. They were just sitting there like they were in La La Land. But they rode this conveyor belt inside a compartment. And this is gross and this is horrible. But this story has to be told. People have to know what was bunches of them. They were feeding on the organs inside the cavity of these remains. Now, is this gross and sick enough? But I saw it. I even told Barbara, I said, my God, it looked like they were eating into a big baked potato.
Whoa.
And now, when I've told this story, people say, you're just trying to horrify everybody. Well, I've been quiet for years. I didn't want to tell people what I knew, to protect all of you listening. This is one of the reasons I say the government has gone to extreme measures to make sure that we don't know what's really happening because they can't fix it. And I think one of the main reasons, and I'm not taking up for the government, but I think I can see what would I have done, what would you have done in that position to have recovered that craft at Roswell and found such remains inside that told them probably what was going on, but there was absolutely nothing they could do to stop it. Now, Amarillo is, as the crow flies, is not that far to Dulce. Maybe by car,
Dulce.
maybe like about a 4.5 hour drive by car from Amarillo to Dulce. So it was in that area. It's possible, but I don't know for sure. I just know that I was taken there, and they did things to my body. They put headphones on my ears. I think they were trying to program me for something, and maybe they did. I'm not sure what they did to me. I just remember the headphones being put in a chair that looked like a dental chair, and it laid back, and they did different things to my ears, to my eyes. They took blood. They had, like I said, the headphones on my head, and then in the process of being removed from that room where those things were happening, we went into an area where I was to get back on a UFO to be brought, returned, I'm assuming, back to my bedroom. And that's where I saw another UFO where these children were being brought out of this UFO on that conveyor belt. And then it's like, I don't know if they did it or if there was a friendly force of aliens in charge. I'm not sure, but I remember I suddenly found myself in the room where the feeding was taking place. And
Jesus Christ.
And that's the story. I don't have any better details, but roaches or whatever that come and eat it all and clean it up. That's the way it's cleaned up.
Ugh. UFOs are often described as hospital-like. Excuse me. UFOs are often described as hospital-like. Very clean, no rivets or anything, very smooth.
Well, now, when I was taken on that childhood abduction out of the cotton field, the one where I was cloned, I was taken to a mothership.
Yeah.
Now, the mothership had human workers in there. It was clean, and it did not smell bad. I'm talking about these small craft that are like the taxis. Right. And the operators, these insects that operated.
1963. In this small farming town on the outskirts of Los Angeles, 17-year-old Linda Porter awakens to find herself aboard a strange craft.
All right, hopefully this isn't going to be... This is another really good reason to always watch live, because sometimes I have to take stuff out or remove music that's in copyright, because YouTube's pretty hardcore about all that, unfortunately. So just keeping that in mind, even with KJ's What Happened, all the shows, except for the Uncensored show. Uncensored show, I show anything I want. Like, it's no problem. That's on Rumble. I mean, there's really a big difference, man. I mean, YouTube has really come a long way. I will say that, because I hadn't been on here like that in so many years and been away, and they have changed a lot. But still, that's still why I'll continue doing my uncensored shows, and because I don't want to fall into a trap again either. You know what I mean? It's like you got to try to keep things as cool as possible and clean as possible, and still get your message across, which I'm able to do. But also, that's why when I do music videos, I'll do them off of YouTube, and then the Uncensored show is always filled with stuff that, to me, and sometimes it's mixed in just stuff I found on Sunday between the shows I wanted to throw in there for Monday. But, it's always a mixed bag. But, yeah, those are typically the spicier type videos, just in case, how I like to do it. So, anyway, I'm rambling. But, yeah, that's another good reason to always watch live. You get to see the full show, all the clips, just in case. And, all right. So let's go ahead and I guess we'll move on from this.
That have
Yeah, we're going to move on. It's like over 5 minutes long, so I'll move on. That was from BitChute. Here's one more from BitChute. From University Galacticus channel. I'll subscribe to you, sir or ma'am. Barbara Lamb's Mantis and Gray Aliens Upgrading Humanity? Question mark. So this is almost 30 minutes long, so I just pulled ahead 3 minutes. So let's jump in here.
Of calm or reverence in the presence, attributing this to the mantis being's advanced intelligence and spiritual aura, physical and behavioral traits.
Remember, there's a lot of New Age type folks also that fall under the deception of these demonic creatures, or even just satanic beings, however you want to put it, fallen angels, creatures from the pit, whatever, man. But they're not from another galaxy or planet or any of that crap at all. No. Major deceptions upon humanity, man. Like, we're so close. Like, some serious stuff is about to hit humanity, and the only way to be ready is to have Jesus. That's it. There's no fear in him, and expect the unexpected. And still we're here, and we have seen so much crazy stuff happen over all these years, but we don't freak out, we don't spaz out. We trust in the Lord. We just understand what time it is, that we're literally seeing the end of an age and the beginning of the final age. 7 years AC time, bad time, worst time in human history. So all bets are off, and everything's coming in, no matter what it is, all kinds of deceptions. And this is a really big one, so it's pretty crazy. But we trust in Jesus, and again, he gives us the eyes to see, the ears to hear, the wisdom we need in these days, the discernment, it's super important. It's just the most important,
Appearance, mantis beings are bipedal. Gray aliens, often termed Zetoreticulans, are the most commonly reported ET species in Lamb's regressions, aligning with the broader ufology narratives. They are described as small, 3 to 5 feet, humanoid beings with large heads, black almond-shaped eyes. Logistics of abduction, vision of mantis beings functioning as extensions of a broader intelligence. Collaborative dynamics. The mantis-gray partnership is highly coordinated, with each species leveraging its strengths. Complementary skills. Mantis beings contribute intellectual and spiritual guidance, using advanced technologies to manipulate energy or consciousness. Grays provide the physical labor, handling biological samples or operating equipment. This division allows for efficient execution of complex tasks, such as creating and nurturing hybrid offspring. Shared objectives. Both species appear united in goals like hybridization and human consciousness evolution, though their motivations remain ambiguous. Lamb's clients report mantis beings emphasizing spiritual growth, while Grays focus on biological outcomes, suggesting a holistic agenda combining physical and metaphysical aims. Interdependence. While mantis beings hold authority, their reliance on Grays for operational tasks indicates interdependence. Lamb speculates that Grays may be engineered or coordinated to serve mantis beings, possibly as a created or subordinate race. Variations in accounts. Some regressions describe tensions or differing priorities between mantis and gray ETs. For instance, a client in Alien Experiences reported a mantis being reprimanding a gray for mishandling a procedure, suggesting occasional friction. However, such instances are rare, and the overall picture is one of a seamless collaboration under mantis leadership. 5. The hybridization program, mantis and gray contributions. The hybridization program is a cornerstone of Lamb's findings, with mantis and gray ETs playing distinct roles in creating and integrating human ET hybrids into society. I think this is perhaps the biggest issue in the world, and it's something that's going on since the 1800s and may take another century or more.
All right, I'll go and stop there. This guy is very interesting, though. I think he's really deep into it from what I'd seen earlier. there are, yeah, like there's new agey type folk that are into all this. They channel a lot of these beings. That's a whole other thing, right? So here's an interesting one also. I think he's got a few parts on this, but let's check this out.
So I was abducted by aliens, and I want to spend this little bit of time real quick to give you this information because I don't know how much longer I have left to live, honestly. And I'm not trying to hyperbolize anything. I just don't know. I have health issues, and I might as well get it out there while I have a chance. So what happened to me, and this is multi-part series. I'm just going to get it out and record it. So I'll start at the beginning, and I'll record this little one, and then I'll record it in a series. So the first thing that happened to me when I was about 3 years old, and a lot of people can't remember when they were 3, but I do, that I was at my grandparents' farm on the western, on the Mississippi, right on the Mississippi in between Iowa and Illinois. And we would visit, and my grandparents had a farmhouse in the middle of corn. So there's corn all around this farm, and the only way to get to this farm was from the road was to travel down their gravel driveway, if you call it that, path, about a quarter mile back to the house. You had to like kind of wind around to the house. It's a really interesting setup. So my grandpa was always a farmer. Now, when I was 3, you're very young, but I still remember because of these experiences. So my mom would read me a book, and we'd be on the second floor of this house, my grandparents' farmhouse, old house, 100 years old, and since demolished, actually. And as we were reading books, I'd go to sleep. That's what my mom did. I'd read books, go to sleep. Now, next thing I remember, I'm outside. How did I get outside? No idea. 3 years old. And I'm sitting there in like underwear and a shirt, I think. And I had a blanket somehow, some miraculous way. And I look up, and I'm on the stoop, right? I'm on these 3 stairs. This is what we call them, right? The farmers call it a stoop, just a couple steps down from the main house. So you step up a couple steps on the concrete to get up to the main house. Sitting there, and I look up, and it's nighttime. It's pitch black. Well, it's not pitch black. There's a big-ass, what I thought was a full moon. Could have been close to a full moon, but pretty damn close. It was a big-ass moon. No clouds, no anything. And I'm looking up, and I'm like, what the fuck is going on? So I'm looking around, and I'm like, well, let me just see if I can open this door. Try to open the door's locked. How did I get outside? There's only 2 doors to this house, and the one is completely locked and completely blocked by storage. You can't even get out of that door. Can't get in it, can't get out of it. So how the hell did I get out of the house? So I decided I should do some hypnotic regression. And so what I found out through hypnotic regression was that this was a praying mantis alien abduction. This was an event that is long. I'm gonna tell you, it's something that will shake you to your core, shook me to my core, and I think you'll find it interesting. I'm not sure what is going on with this video and why it's shorting out here. Seems like
All right, let's see if I can find his part 2 then, because he's kind of, I thought he was going to get more into it here, but let me go to his channel. Let's see if I can find the old part 2 on that. Let's see. Darn, it's got a lot of videos. I guess, isn't there a search you can do on people's channels? See, it's the thing, like I said, it's kind of, TikTok's kind of weird. I guess there's not a way to search. Let me see, maybe it's one of his popular videos. Alright, too bad. Don't know where it is.
That I always recognize. And he's not a gray. He's taller. He's thinner. He's got a bigger head. He's got bigger eyes. His limbs are very praying mantis-like. I remember being on the table with my head turned away, not wanting to look at this creature. And then when I looked at him, I just recognized him as the one that I hated. You find yourself on a table and these creatures around you with instruments, and you have no idea what they're doing. And they don't. That I always recognize. And he's not a gray. He's taller. He's thinner. He's got a bigger head. He's got bigger eyes. His limbs are very praying mantis-like. I remember being on a table with my
There you go. It's a short clip. It was playing again. I would like to find a longer version of that. Here's a little bit of the old Vegas story. Remember this? Check this out. Turn it up a bit. Here we go.
Our 8 News Now investigators digging into this for weeks now, and tonight our David Charles with the video you will only see on 8 News Now. David?
Right, these sources telling 8 News Now investigators that several agencies believe something landed or crashed. Whether it was non-humans or not, it certainly scared the people living on this property. Now, before we show you that video, listen to their call for help.
There's like an 8-foot person beside it, and another one inside, and it has big eyes and looking at them, and it's still there.
Okay, where is this on your property?
In my backyard. And I swear to God, this is not a joke. This is actually we terrified me.
So there's 2 people or 2 subjects that are in your backyard?
Correct, and they're very large. They're like 8 foot, 9 feet, 10 foot. I don't know. They look like humans to us. Big eyes. They have big eyes, like I can't explain it. That big mouth. They're shiny eyes, and they're not human. They're 100% they're not human.
Okay.
While the 8 News Now investigators obtaining video as officers then responded to the call you just heard, you'll see the officers also saw something in the sky that night, but the big question is, what was it, and is it all connected? It's almost midnight on May 1st when the Las Vegas Metro Police officer's body cam catches this, something flashing low in the sky.
911 emergency.
Minutes later,
there's like an 8-foot person beside it, and another one inside, and it has big eyes and looking at them. 911.
Wow, right? 8-foot thing next to it, another one, big eyes, and they're staring at us. No thanks, right? Cast it out in Jesus' name, of course. But there's, and I know I put this in some videos back in the day, and I'm sure I've shown it before on KG's What Happened, but yeah, there's footage you can actually see of one of these shadow things showing up, and it stands above the fence, probably by a good 1.5 feet. And you can actually see it on a news clip. No one really noticed it at the time. And there's another thing where you can look between some of the fence, the opening between some of the posts on the fence, and it looks like there's a set of eyes, like on another thing, another picture from there, from the newscast. So weird crap that one was. 8 foot tall. No thanks. All right, let's check this one out. I believe these are some of the people who are into these things, like they're friends with them, or yeah, or they channel them. But yeah, check this out. An interesting perspective. Under demonic influence and deception, unfortunately.
I believe one of the most highly evolved cultures, and that they did certainly have a hand in creating the universe as we know it. But the mantis, they are very highly evolved beings, incredible healers, and they're very playful. They love to laugh and have fun, so they show up at my house all the time. And they like to dance. It sounds silly, but they like to do movements. And one morning I was actually laying in bed, and 8 of them showed up in my bedroom. This is very common for me, yeah. And I go, good morning. And they said, we would love for you to get up and move with us. Or some people might say dance, and that sounds kind of silly, but they have, you know,
little morning exercise.
Any being that is evolved understands play, the concept of play and joy and laughter.
Yeah, they're tricksters.
And I said, I don't want to, but I will. And
talk about getting dragged out of bed in the morning.
I was dragged out.
Did that at least make you coffee? Or?
I was complaining. And so I got out of bed, okay, and I started moving, and my whole neck snapped My whole spinal column aligned and my whole neck snapped, and they had
Whoa.
aligned my whole spinal column and neck just like that.
Wow.
And so I thank them for that. And
So like a cosmic chiropractic appointment.
absolutely. And so they interact, and they come to me, and I draw a lot of the symbols they give me to share with others. I have interactions with them often, and even though they're very high creators and where they come from, they just, of course, all telepathically communicate because they're energy.
Mm-hmm.
I believe one of the most highly evolved cultures.
All right, there you go.
Yeah, they do.
So yeah, like I said, there's some people who are into this. They've, they took the bait. They done got tricked. Oh, we saw this one earlier. It was different sites, but this is talking about the young teenager.
He was inside of some.
Yeah, same one. Just over on TikTok. My bad. Praying mantis man. Here's a weird one. We like that. All right, check this out.
That's when I saw the movement on the bank. Something hideous and huge. When I first saw the creature, I was like, what the heck is that? This thing had the skin of a snake. Where our abdomen is and where all our organs are, it had a very narrow core.
There you go. Good one. Scary story. Freaking mantis man. Mantis man gonna get you.
Or it was 8 feet high and it looked like a praying mantis.
Whoa. All right, let's check this out. Another experience with the mantis.
That happens to be a type that comes up over and over again. What I was told, this comes from a government guy. He said those 8-foot tall praying mantises, they're somebody else's. The keeper of planets is what he said. So what does that mean? He said these 8 feet tall praying mantises are made to monitor and seed life in newly developing solar systems.
Mm-hmm. They're evil.
And they have been built to last maybe 1,000 years so that they carry an experiment or part of the laboratory experiment on a planet inside of one mind that would then be communicating to a prime intelligence. When you sit with people who have worked with the CIA, the NSA, the DIA, the NRO, MI6, DSA, and they talk in these terms, I think that that's much closer to the truth. Or it was 8 feet high and it looked like...
All right, thanks, lady. That's Linda Moulton Howell. Somebody pointed out in chat, indeed. She's one of those, I don't know, I haven't listened to Coast in a long time, but she was a regular guest for a long time. Into some interesting topics. I'd say I was with maybe 30% personally of the things she would say. And the rest, a little wishy-washy. That's just my opinion. Even like this stuff right here. Don't think she has Jesus either. That's always a big issue. And it comes out with these kind of subjects also, Everything goes back to him. Everything goes back to Christ. Everything goes back to the Bible. All of it. All of it. It's amazing. All of it. And I always want to throw in for people who haven't accepted him yet. It's not religious. It's not religion. You don't have to go to church. You don't got to go buy a new suit, whatever that. I mean, if for whatever reason the Holy Spirit guides you in those ways, that's a whole other thing. But in the beginning, it's begin a relationship with him. Totally be connected to our Creator, the Creator of all things, who knew you before you were born, wants to be reunited forever and ever and ever, loves you so much, no matter how bad you feel about yourself. He sees otherwise. He sees through a whole different set of eyes. But the Bible lets you know how much he loves us. It's pretty amazing. I mean, like, a love like no other, if you look at it, the things he's done. So, yeah. All right. This is Dr. Carla Turner describing her personal experience and research on what she terms as the insectoids.
The insectoid or praying mantis type creatures.
We also have the insectoid. Not a fun group necessarily because they are very frightening to look at. In fact, the first ET I ever saw when I was about 5.5 years old was like this, only it didn't have the mask over the lower face as it did in this case. And it was very terrifying to see this thing and not know how I had gotten out in the backyard to be with this creature, and it telling me it was my mother was very upsetting. I thought I knew better. But the insectoid types do differ from the little grays. For instance, as this person's drawing can show us a little bit, there seems to be a very bony, high, hard ridge over the eyes. And more often the eyes are round and bulging like fly eyes, if you will, rather than the elongated or almond or smooth, shiny black eyes. The face in this drawing is covered by a mask of some sort. Now, we've had other cases where the aliens have used masks and said we don't want to frighten them. We don't know why this one was using a mask. It was performing surgical procedures, but normally they're not that tidy about keeping the gloves and the mask on. The body being very, very thin and white. The person who had this experience and drew this was on a table paralyzed with his head pushed very far back, and this is all he could see from his ankle. He couldn't move. He said the arms tapered to a thickness no more than a broomstick handle. And he did his best to show the long, thin fingers of the hand, but he said, honestly, from his viewpoint, he could only see a small thumb-like device and one finger, although he thought there was probably one or two more. He just couldn't see them, so he wouldn't draw it.
I have personally seen the insectoid or...
Thank you, lady. Thanks for your testimony. These freaking creepos working for the kingdom of darkness, I say.
And during that regression, I had this major, hypnotic terror experience of reliving this event that happened on that night.
And it started with a light that came through the ceiling, a blue light that was very solid. It came through like a column. And when it hit me, I curled up into a fetal position, is how I remember it in hypnosis. And I went up through my ceiling, and I was going up, up. I was afraid. I was above my house. I couldn't see a ship, though. I didn't see anything. The next phase, I was flat on a table, and there was a white, misty room I was in with no walls or anything, just this amorphous mist. And I was terrified. And Barbara had to, she has to talk you through it. And she says, look around. Why are you scared? I said, everyone's looking at me. Everyone's looking at me. And she said, who's looking at you? So anyway, it was this row of beings, and they were all the same. And they had white robes on with a high collar. They had the big black wraparound eyes. They had white bodies, or very misty, luminous. I couldn't tell if they were luminous or just misty. I didn't see a lot of detail. But they did seem to have a symbol of an emblem at their solar plexus area that was like a circle with a triangle symbol. Okay. And they were telling me to relax. And she said, well, what do these beings want? And I said, I have a baby and they want it. And then my knees went apart. Nothing was touching them. And I got a flash of an instrument like a speculum. And I went totally hysterical. And she said, you can go above your body and remember it from another perspective if that helps. So I did that. And there was a being I couldn't see that I was like blocked from seeing it. And it put this thing in me and took out this little tiny blob of something that I saw barely through the slats of this thing, and walked out of the room with it very quickly. And I was just outraged. I was just saying, they didn't even let me see it. It was horrible. It was hysterical, teeth chattering, screaming. I think I lost 2 pounds sweating in this memory. And, I went home with this little cassette tape and I played it for my boyfriend, and he was like, oh my God, if this is real, this is really bad. And if it's not real, it's really bad, because then you're delusional or you've been tricked or, and I showed it. I played it for my family out of state. And I was like the golden child. You have to understand. I had good grades, was not in trouble, was not crazy. Anyway, I had another experience with beings that put a triangle on my leg, like pinprick triangle. That was associated with the 3 mornings in a row, 4 a.m. And I did a regression to that with Yvonne Smith, just to go to somebody different, because she was the other person in town that did regressions, and that was very unique. I had different types of beings, a tall one with the white robes, with the big eyes, but that was the doctor. And at one point it grew antenna, and it like morphed into a mantis. And then there were little shorter ones with dark heads, like brown or gray heads, and they were wrinkly. And one of them put its hand on my forehead, and I was screaming at it. And when it did that, it repulsed me, but him doing that made me calm down. It had a sedative effect to put its hand on my head. So that was interesting. And then the tall one just used this rack with this wand and a little tip, and he put the tip on the wand and popped it in my leg. And that's how I remember the triangle being put on me. But I don't know what it was. It never showed up on x-ray as anything. I had my dentist find an object in my tooth that he had just done a filling on, and I went back to him because that filling hurt, and all my other fillings that he had done felt fine. And he dug it out, and he found a spherical object in my tooth.
Whoa.
And he said, I don't know what this is. It wasn't here before when I did this tooth.
What the?
And so that I did a regression with Barbara to find out how I got this thing in my tooth. And I had a military abduction memory, which is a whole other thing you may have heard about. So, I mean, I can keep talking, but I mean, that happened.
Just on that one. So were you able to retain that item from your tooth?
No, I asked my dentist, like, can you get me a chunk of it? And he said, no, it's really, really hard. And he showed it to me with the mirror and the scratchy thing. And he was banging on it while I was looking at it with the mirror. And he said, it's really hard. It's spherical or half spherical. And he said, what do you want me to do? And I said, well, if you can't get me a piece, because he said, I have to keep spraying it with water, and I'm just barely putting a dent in it. And I said, well, okay, just fill it again, and I'll think about it. So he filled it up, and I ended up, the pain stopped, so that made me happy. But I ended up going to a Navy doctor who was attached to MUFON unofficially. I went to see him through Don Waldrop, who ran MUFON LA at the time. And he asked me if I would give up my tooth, and I said no. I didn't want to take the whole tooth out. And so that's that. So whatever's left of it, I guess, is still in there. And I do have an x-ray that does show like a little dome in that area. But it doesn't hurt anymore. So the military abduction thing was so angering. I did that with Barbara Lamb. And when I came to in the memory, I was on a table. There was no mist. There were just, cabinets and like a doctor's office. But there were two guys in lab coats with khaki pants and black shoes. And I felt drugged. I didn't get much information out of that memory. I got that they called me a troublemaker. I got that they put a syringe through my cheek, not like up through my mouth like a dentist would do, but it was this way through my cheek, and squirted something in there. And then I was put on a gurney, and I was brought to this, I know it sounds very cliche, but it was a hangar, and there was a retractable ceiling.
Whoa.
They put me in this helicopter. The retractable ceiling opened up. It was daylight. It was really bright. And then I remember going up, and they brought me home to my neighborhood in Silver Lake, and they landed in this field, which is still a field because I visited it recently. And they said, go home and take a nap. And that's all I remember. So I don't remember how they got me. I don't remember how I got home from the helicopter, how I got into my house. But I came out of it so angry and paranoid because I thought, if that was real, then what else has happened to me that I don't remember? Like, now it's my own kind involved. Like, I just felt it was a whole different kind of fear. And during that regression...
All right, that was it. Just wanted to share that. Some people were questioning that one. As I always say, you decide, as always. Yeah, I don't, even like on KJ's What Happened, I don't sign off on absolutely everything I share. I don't, nothing like that. It's like, it's whatever I find that I think's relevant that week and of interest or whatever, however I do it. It's just that's the way it's always been. But, so there's no kind of, setup thing behind that or anything. It's just, sharing what's of interest, I guess. Is that the best way? Just being natural about it. Always just being natural about it. You know what I mean? whether people like all of it or not or whatever. But yeah, like I said, so it really is just always like a you decide. Use your logic, reason, common sense, critical thinking, and most importantly, spiritual discernment, which is your Holy Spirit. To decide on what you think's real, what's relevant, what's not. Yeah, eat the meat, throw away the bones. Take what you need, leave the rest. You know what I mean? And it's okay to have difference of opinions on things, and totally is. As long as people are cool about it, respectful, it's cool. That's okay. We're not all robots in Christ. Even though we're all brothers and sisters in Christ, it doesn't mean that we're all little robots. Who believe everything the same way. It's okay to have a difference of opinion for sure. All right, let's go ahead and check this out from this young lady. Close Encounter Story Part 2. I think this is where she builds up to the good stuff. Here we go.
To my alien abduction story. Let's get right into it. I'm gonna try to say this part without sounding too crazy. So forgive me if I need to try to find the words because it does sound kind of outlandish. So picking up where we left off, the wall opened up. And the gray alien walked over to the opening in the wall with the baby in its hands. And another being walked into the room. Another being walked into the room, and it was a fucking praying mantis. And it was like 8 feet tall, and it was like human size, like everything was big and proportional, and it had the arms with the claws and the shit. It was a whole ass bug, y'all. It was a whole ass bug the size of a linebacker. I'm not even lying. I'm not even kidding. And as a kid, like I never even had any reference to create that type of shit in my mind. I didn't. There was a praying mantis that walked in, and it didn't say anything. It walked in, and it had a cloak on. It was a cloak. It was a long cloak that went down to the floor, but the cloak was like this velvety looking texture, and it had all these different like colors and stuff. It looked like the cosmos. It looked like all these different colors and swirls and galaxies and stuff like that, but it was just like on the fabric, but it was like holographic, It was weird. And the alien went and handed the baby to this being, this praying mantis. And I watched it grab the baby and hold it and look down at it and look up, and it turned around and walked back out the room. I was freaked out, to say the least. Because it was the whole praying mantis. It wasn't like, oh, it was a human that looked like a bug. No, okay? And, sorry. And this is when the experiments started happening on me. And there was a taller gray alien, gray-green alien, whatever. And there were shorter ones around the bed that was working with it. It seemed like the taller one was in charge. None of them were saying anything. It was very surgical, the way that they were moving about things. Like they had a job, they had a purpose on what they were doing, and they were making sure they got their job done. And the first thing was the needle in my belly button. Long needle. They stuck it in my belly button. And I felt that. It hurt. But I couldn't move and I couldn't cry or anything. And it was like that for probably about 2 minutes. And then they pulled it out. And then it was my eye. It was this eye. And they pulled this.
Okay, I have to say something. This is pretty wild. So, anyway, last night, it was late. I was working on stuff, and I figured before I went to bed, I'd just watch some kind of a movie and just fall asleep. There's a movie called, I think it's called The Home, with Pete Davidson, the guy from SNL. And see, I haven't liked SNL for years and years and years, like most of you out there who have any taste. I'm just saying. It became a real propaganda wing, got too political over the years, just really lost its flavor. You know what I mean? But anyway, so this movie, I went ahead and rented this movie. It was like $5 online or on Prime, and it was The Home from Pete Davidson. And wow, man. One of the whole things, I don't want to be a spoiler here, but I'll tell you this much. It was pretty good. I thought it was okay. And I'm not a big fan of his at all. Like, to me, I found him really annoying. I never really watched anything. In fact, that's why it took so long for me to watch it, because I just wasn't a fan of his, you know? But anyway, last night I felt like I'd give it a chance, so I went ahead and watched it. And it was pretty good, you know, pretty good build up. But then, right at the end, it goes freaking bonkers. Now, if you like scary movies and some horror and, you know, you don't mind some violence and stuff, then, you know, you could watch it. And remember, I went to film school. That's why I still watch some of this stuff. I also decode a lot of these things. Didn't see a lot in this one to decode. It's like more of an indie type film, I think. But still really well done. But the ending is freaking bonkers. Like, it just kind of made up for everything. It was like, wow. So it really kind of goes over the top. I'm just saying, and I won't say any more. But anyway, there's a part in the movie where they talk about they can take this stuff out of your eye. They have to poke a needle into your right eye, like she just said, her right eye. She pointed to it, and they take the serum out, and it helps people to live longer if they take that serum in, that whatever that stuff is behind your right eye, which is really weird. I know that's kind of a long story, but why not? It's Friday night. So there you go. From the movie last night, reminded me of this.
Around the bed that was working with it. It seemed like the taller one was in charge. None of them were saying anything. It was very surgical, the way that they were moving about things. Like, they had a job, they had a purpose on what they were doing, and they were making sure they got their job done. And the first thing was the needle in my belly button. Long needle. They stuck it in my belly button. And I felt that. It hurt. But I couldn't move and I couldn't cry or anything. And it was like that for probably about 2 minutes. And then they pulled it out. And then it was my eye. It was this eye. And they pulled this machine over top of me. It was a big square machine. And it kept like doosh, doosh, doosh. Like, it would drop down into little squares. It was like these squares would drop down out of it, and once it got to the smallest square, it was like right above my eye. And then there was this long needle that came out. Okay, so while they put this machine over top of me and the thing was coming down, they grabbed, I saw a table. I remember I drew it out and everything. I drew out all the little tools that I saw. I drew out what the room looked like. I drew out what they looked like. I drew out everything before. And there was a little, a thing, like a table, a rolling table or something beside the bed I was on, and it had this tray of like different tools and stuff. And they grabbed this one that looked like, sorry, this shit is making me nauseous. They grabbed this tool that looked like an eyelash curler, and they put it in my eye, and I held my eye open. It went in and like held it open. And then they grabbed this green goopy stuff that looked like slime now, like how people like play with slime and stuff, but you know, we didn't really play with slime back in the day like that. It was like the slime, and it was this green color, and they grabbed it in this little scooper, and they splattered it on my eye, and my eye went numb. And by the time my eye was numb, the machine was right over my eye at this point, and then all I felt was a puff of air on the rest of my face, but it was the needle shooting out of the square. It was like, it shot out of the square, and it went straight into my eye. And it went in so quick, I couldn't even like see it. I just felt it. And I felt it here. I felt it. I didn't feel it go into my eye, but I felt it going through my brain. It's like the initial impact, they didn't just like stab it in my eye. It was like the initial impact was like a tsh, and then they just slowly pushed it, and it went all the way to the back of my head, and I felt it. Oh my God. I felt it in my brain. It hurt so bad, and I couldn't move, and I couldn't cry, and I couldn't do anything. And I felt it in my brain. I felt it pushing through parts of my brain and cutting things. And I heard it on the inside of my head. I heard it tap the back of my skull. Like once it got to the back of my skull, I heard it hit the bone. And I was freaking out because I'm like, okay, I can't move my eyes. Like, don't move your eyes. Like, this shit is like inside of your fucking head. Like, what is going on right now? And me as a child, I don't know nothing about like a fucking lobotomy or whatever this could have been. I don't know. And once that was over, the machine got pulled back out. And then they went on to, they were touching on my skin again. Just like touching on my arms and my legs and stuff. And I don't know exactly what they were doing when they were doing that. And then it was this next part that like I just don't. I've never heard anything like this in anybody's experiences before, but they laid me on my stomach and there was a screen that I could see. And on that screen was my back that they were looking at. And they put all this green gooey stuff on my back, and then I watched them cut it open with a laser like a book. Like, this is my back, and they cut it like this. And then they fucking peeled it back. They peeled it back. And it was just, I could see my spine and my ribs and my organs.
Gross.
And then I kind of fainted after that because I was in disbelief, and I don't know what they did. I don't know what they did on that part.
All right. Thanks, lady, for sharing. And as always, you decide.
In my research,
this one's really cool. There's a lot of cool stuff in this. From a channel called Mantis Encounters. I don't think they post so much anymore. I'm pretty sure. I'll see in a second. I think the next thing is their channel, because all they do is post stuff about mantis encounters. And they got this clip right here. Abduction researchers present information on mantis beings. So let's check some of this out. Some good stuff here.
parking meter heads, people call them praying mantises. That's the most common thing that people say, and so forth.
What the actual statistic is that what we actually see is there are very tall, very thin looking aliens. People say, God, they look like a praying mantis.
Yes.
Those are the ones in control. Within that praying mantis group, there's actually a hierarchy that we can see. There are some who now we come to crazy stuff, who actually wear some sort of cape or gown or robe or something or other that I laughed at when I first heard it. Now I hear it all the time, and I realized, now I understand. They are the ultimate ones who are in control of the hierarchy. There's got to be there's a hierarchy of authority. There has to be all sorts of different things that happen to have this program put in. That's a whole nother talk, and that's another hour's worth of talking that I could do in terms of how this program gets put into place. But then there are the regular insect-like ones, and eventually you get to taller gray aliens, smaller gray aliens, and hybrids.
What is an insectoid? I'll have to go really quickly on this one section. Category of UFO occupants that resemble insects. They have large insect-like eyes and faces, thin limbs with prominent joints, hard body surface resembling a chitinous exoskeleton, and stiff or jerky movements. They typically are described as looking like praying mantis or various other insect-like beings. And I'll just go quickly through. This one's based on my interpretation of Josie's experience. These beings actually healed Josie of an intestinal malignancy back in the early 90s that she was at risk from. This was actually the first praying mantis type I encountered from an experiencer. Did these drawings around 1994. And this shows how its body can bend and so forth. This is similar to the type that Simon Parks is familiar with. These are drawings by Martin of the praying mantis type that he has seen. The mandibles can open up all the way. Very bony hands with very thin, long fingers.
54% said that they have observed the praying mantis type. And what you see on the right is a sketch done for me by an abduction experiencer during hypnosis. The one on the
Since this is someone else's YouTube video, I have to jump ahead a little bit here and there, so I'm going to bounce just a few moments ahead here. Here we go.
The insectoid type do differ from the little grays. For instance, as this person's drawing can show us a little bit, there seems to be a very bony, high, hard ridge over the eyes. And more often the eyes are round and bulging like fly eyes, if you will, rather than the elongated or almond or smooth, shiny black eyes. The face in this drawing is covered by a mask of some sort. Now, we've had other cases where the aliens have used masks and said we don't want to frighten you. We don't know why this one was using a mask. It was performing surgical procedures, but normally they're not that tidy about keeping the gloves and the mask on. The body being very, very thin and white. The person who had this experience and drew this was on a table paralyzed with his head pushed very far back, and this is all he could see from his ankles. Couldn't move. He said the arms tapered to a thickness no more than a broomstick handle. And he did his best to show the long, thin fingers of the hand, but he said, honestly, from his viewpoint, he could only see a small thumb-like device and one finger, although he thought there was probably one or two more. He just couldn't see them, so he wouldn't draw it.
We all know now about the little guys, little gray guys, 4 foot tall maybe, are the ones that are usually the abductors who take the person out of their normal environment. But then as I was working with cases, people who don't know each other all describe once they got onto the craft, they saw taller beings that looked like the little gray beings, but they were taller. Some had uniforms on that they described, very tight-fitting uniforms. Then there were the praying mantis seems to be always there, and he seems to be in charge. And very often, he's not touching the person. He's not performing any of the experiments, but he stands aside, like in the side of the room, side of the table, and it's almost like he's giving direction. And as we know, they communicate telepathically.
Recently chatted with Dr. Jacobs about his research and his conclusions, and it seems to me what you're describing is pretty much in line with his observations that he's gotten through the regressions that he's done. And
the insectoid beings, look at the large eyes that seem to wrap around the sides of the head, and they're usually very tall and very thin, long fingers. And here's another depiction, this one, both of those, and this one by Casara from descriptions, and the big long arms, and they often walk with their arms folded up like this one. And here's another type of insectoid. Sometimes they have what looks like little antennae, and sometimes they don't seem to. And here's another one, the arms very long. If those arms were to hang down, they'd probably drag along the floor. And they often have sort of bird-like feet. And this one has little antennae. Now, I want to say that the insectoid beings, I think, don't look like they would be particularly wonderful to be with. In fact, it might even be downright frightening if you just suddenly encountered one. However, anyone I have regressed to experiences with insectoid beings, they all report that the insectoids are very kindly, helpful,
Liars, deceivers,
lovable, loving, and even unconditionally loving.
right? Liars, man. I mean, the ultimate goal is your soul for all of us. That's it. And if they think they got a chance at you, man, they're gonna lie. You know, they're gonna trick. They're gonna come off as whatever. And that's just the way it is. And people fall for it. Some people do. The people who don't have Jesus, who don't have the Holy Spirit, saying no, 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 no. So there are people that fall for this. It's very unfortunate. Let's jump ahead a little.
One of them that is often being seen as very scary is the mantid or insect-like being, mantid being. This has become more common as people open up and say, well, I've not just seen maybe grey beings or light beings or humanoids or whatever. And what I've tried to do is understand it from the indigenous people's understanding as well as from us who are that are experiencing them. One of the interesting things was a lady from South Africa wrote to me, and she said this: in the Eastern Cape of South Africa, the Xhosa call the mantid being the one who teaches and point up to the sky. In the Bushman legends, the mantis was the god that came down from the heavens to share knowledge with mankind. And in Aboriginal terms, the manta being is called the mamu, and in a similar way has come to teach them. This image that I've got here is one that a geneticist, scientist, actually saw in his bedroom when he woke up one night with the blue, an absolutely room filled with blue light. And this tall mantid being, 7 or 8 foot tall, was standing over him, observing him. And he said, I was able to be still and just look at this being and observe it. And he said there were little lights under the skin. It was most fascinating. It was a young 8-year-old. And what he's talking about is his connection to the mantid beings. And when he came to me, he was really nervous because he didn't know what this strange lady was going to make of him. He was with his mum and his dad, and he was shaking because he was so scared that he's talking about this for the first time to a strange lady. But he gradually started to calm down, and he told me that he connects to the mantid beings, but not in the usual way. He said, they're my family. They are my family. These are my human family, but I have a family out there. And we're
All right, man. It's scary stuff. How many people are deceived? I mean, you can only imagine, too, if somebody doesn't have faith in the first place, and then they meet these things, they see them face to face, if you will, you know, how easy it'd be to deceive them. And then by deceiving them, they'll deceive others, you know, and then there you go. Spreads the story, right, about the mantis. But that was a video, but this is actually the channel, which is pretty interesting. Mantis Encounters, 116 videos. Mantis Encounters. Oh, they are still posting. All right, there we go. 8 hours ago, visitation by mantid wearing purple robe. 5 days ago, man witnesses birth of the cosmos, history of all life. Weird stuff, maybe a bit new age-ish, but still, that's one of the places you find a lot of the information on these demonic tricksters, these creatures. Mantid close encounters. On a DMT trip examined by 3 mantis beings. Nah. On mushrooms, had vision of mantids. All right, so there you go. If you're interested, it's a good place to end. We just did over 2 hours. Not bad, man. So, yeah. So Mantis Encounters, I just subscribed. I'll be watching some more of these. But it looks like they pretty much stay on top of it. Looks like they're probably a bit new agey, so just be warned. But I'll still follow some of these people. I mean, I trust my discernment. I'm not going to get swept away suddenly. Jesus is my rock. He's my foundation. I hope he's yours. I hope he's your rock, your foundation. If he's not, please accept that free gift of salvation. Confess with your mouth, believe in your heart. Know that he is the creator, came in the flesh, lived a perfect life, died a horrible death, was buried, resurrected 3 days later, ascended to heaven, coming back for his bride, which is us. So trust in him. Trust in Christ. Please, let me go and jump over here to the chat with you guys now for a bit. Say hello. I'll throw a little background up here. Here's a nice chill one. That's cool, I think. But good to see you guys, man. Hey, thank you once again for being here, everybody. I think it was a fun show. I think I showed everything I wanted to show, shared everything I wanted to share. Another one of those demonic deceptions. Why is that hard to say? Another one of those demonic deceptions, if you will. Something to watch out for. We're living in very deceptive times. The devil's really starting to play some wild cards out here. So this whole UFO thing is a part of it. So that's why, again, just super important to have Jesus, man. That's it. Be filled with the Holy Spirit in these days. Have real discernment to understand what you're seeing out here, what's going on. And I'll be also just wanted to say thank you to the Rumble Wells. Also, always just my Subscribe Star people. That's the backbone. That's the best place to follow me, by the way. I post everything over there always. And of course, to the members here on YouTube, thank you so much. Also, I'll be posting a new show for us within the next couple weeks. All right, for sure. And it'll be a fun one. Be catching up with KJ. We'll hang out and chat together, whatever you guys want to talk about. It's the subject. And yeah, it'll be fun. Then sometimes I'll share some kind of random things from time to time on those shows. But I look forward to getting those started also, just as a way to say thank you. So thank you. All right. And thanks again, Tamara. Thanks for those who were kind enough to donate tonight, man. I appreciate that. Some people were asking for prayers. I know a lot of us were praying for different people throughout the night. So thank you for that, everybody. Thanks for being so cool about it. Hey, thanks, David Connolly. I appreciate that, man. It says the Disclosure Day video was awesome. I appreciate it, brother. But yeah, so thanks again, you guys, for just keeping everyone in your prayers out there. And crazy times. Thanks, L. Ivy. Appreciate it. And Eli the Watchman, nice to see you, man. Thank you. Lucia Kitten, Truth Serum, Coulter, Candelaria. Good to see you, man. Always. And Lucas. Yeah, there are some really pretty mantis out there, for sure. As I was looking things up, I was definitely finding some like real pictures of real mantis, and there's different colors, different kind of breeds. They're not all just green. Like there's some really crazy looking mantis out there. WCMW, thank you. Yeah, we'll see you tomorrow. Yeah, that's the other thing. Don't forget, tomorrow, here on YouTube, I got KJ's What Happened, the live show, 2 p.m. Central Standard Time. So I hope you can make it for that. Let me take a drink of water here real quick. Hold on. All right. Getting a little dry there. Dried up in the old mouth. But yeah, tomorrow, live show, 2 p.m. Central Standard, be here. Don't forget to see my newest video I dropped yesterday, so please check that out, all about the new Steven Spielberg movie and just the things I saw in there in the trailer, and it's really interesting, man, and lines up with demon face syndrome, in my opinion, and some of these things, and it could be, I'm not saying it's going to be for sure, but I could see them as this eventually will be one of those things, like when these things start being revealed more and more, the tears, the shifters, they can blame the aliens. Well, see, we told you, they've been walking amongst us all this time. And I don't know for sure. These are the different ways I just kind of think out there. It's my philosophy, my theorizing. So thanks for always understanding that. And but we'll see. We'll see what happens. Like with Comet 3i Atlas, today, I guess, is like the day where it's most visible. So I collected a couple videos today. I'll be sharing on KJ's What Happened tomorrow. So we'll check some of those things out. So we're still here. Haven't seen any UFOs in the skies yet. So I think so far we're okay. But still, this is playing in some role, and we'll see how it all ends. You know what I mean? It's not over yet. It's still in the area, so we'll see what happens. And maybe it isn't just another strange sign and wonder in the skies for these times, for the end times. That could be it, perhaps, as well as we thought. Either way, we'll see. Would I like it to be a spaceship and get this stuff moving on and go see Jesus? Yes, of course. Hello, of course. I can't wait. But I definitely have patience. I've learned patience over the years. I know we're in the season of the end, and I know that we're in the season of seeing him. And so, but I have patience. He knows best. Father knows best. And he's got his perfect timing, and he's going to collect all the fish, that he can, and that he sees fit, at the time he chooses. And there we go. You know what I mean? So I trust Father, and I'm going to keep hanging out with you guys, doing the best I can to expose things in this beast system and staying on top of stuff and having some fun shows occasionally like this, which is also, I think, important information, the insectoid aliens, but also fun subjects. But just thank you again, guys. You're amazing. Love you guys. I appreciate you. Don't forget tomorrow, got the live show here, 2 p.m. Central Standard. Don't miss it. Try not to miss it. And let me say a prayer too. Thank you. Again, I always have to say I'm certainly not a priest, pastor, preacher, or prophet, but love Jesus very much. He's my everything, and he has given me these platforms. I've been blessed to be here all these many, 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 many years now. So yeah, I'm super grateful, and also to all of you. So I'll just say, Heavenly Father, thank you so much for the show. Thank you for the platform. Thanks for the wonderful, wonderful family here, the people. I just pray you bless them all. A lot of people need specific prayers. I pray you help all those people, comfort all the people that need comforting, heal the ones that need healing, and help all the ones who are asking for help, Father, please. And thank you. These are certainly turbulent times. A lot of your children are under attack, so thanks for protecting all of us and helping us and hearing us when we call out. So just thank you. And thanks for all you provide for us. I mean, the food in our belly, the money in our bank, the roof over our head, everything good comes from you. So thank you so much for that. And for those of the people out there who may not have that, I pray that you help them find it, provide it, and however you see fit. So thank you, Lord. I also pray we're all found worthy to escape all the horrors coming upon this earth, as we know what time it is right now. Please use us as you will in this time, short time we have, to keep being good seed planters and leading people to you, and give us the courage and the wisdom and the discernment to do all these things and know when to do what and what to say at the time, please. So thank you, Father. We love you, and in Jesus' name I pray, amen. All right, guys, thank you so much, man. I appreciate it. Hey, thanks, Lucas. Thanks, Kava, Crypto, New York City, Jay Bundy, Silly God with a P, Mako. Nice to see ya. Lucia, L-Ivy, thanks again, y'all. M. Doobie, what's up? Good to see you, man. Yeshua Lawson, good to see you, man. Donald, you too. Tom Thumb, what a crew. Oh, yeah, well, I guess Christmas is, wow, that's right, y'all. Isn't that crazy? Christmas is coming quick. I mean, it's next week. This is Friday. So yeah, and I got to say, in all honesty, I've already done my shopping. I did everything on Amazon. I keep it simple, and I try to keep it personal for the people, so it's nice. I found great stuff on Amazon. I know it's the beast, but still, it works, so. And you can find great deals this time of year. So I got all my Christmas stuff done, my shopping. I guess the U.S. Postal Service is having some issues with delivering everything right this year and on time. So try Amazon, man. I'm telling you, it works. Hey, again, I know, but we're in the beast system. All right, sometimes we got to use it. Like we're on YouTube. Sometimes we got to use it, right? We got to be in it, use it, be in it, but not of it, right? Always. So yeah, don't forget tomorrow, man. KJ's What Happened. Just dropped a new video yesterday. Go check it out. And Monday, over on the Mean Green channel on Grumble, our Mean Green website. Grumble, they don't like that word here. It's funny. It's a whole other story. But so grumbling. Be there a Monday, 2 p.m. Central Standard on KJOZBORNE channel. And then this week I'll have some other things lined up. I'm not sure exactly what's coming, but I'll have something going on for certain. So we'll figure that out then, and I'll let you know. Because I'm pretty close to finishing another video. Maybe that'll be coming up. I'm not sure. Anyway, on that note, I'll end it. So you guys have a good night, man. Thank you. We'll see you tomorrow here on YouTube. Thanks again, Tamara. Thanks again to all of you amazing people watching live and watching later, man. Always love that too. Appreciate all of you. So love you guys, man. Take care. Have a good night, and I will see you tomorrow.